Hi there, it's Mare. Today it's just going to be a real quick video on using some more card, and we're altering some vocabulary cards, and I'm just having fun, just playing around, and I'll show you what I came up with in a minute. So for your supplies, you will need some vocabulary cards. If you don't have any, you can use some cardstock or a thicker paper, roughly about 3.5 by 1.5 in the width. And you're going to need 3 of them to make one. And let's see, some strips of paper. So you can use book page. It depends on what theme you're going to do. If you're going to do shabby or grungy, grab some leftover scraps. I love using what we have. I have lots of different scraps here. Scrapbook paper, ledger, some old print, some digitals, just cut-offs. Whatever you have, grab some strips. You're going to need 3 strips of something. This is for texture. This is for our base. And what else are you going to need? I use some Distress mica stain, your Stabilo, especially if you're doing grungy, some thin wire. I've used some 26 gauge. I've also used black 22 gauge. I put in some eyelets if you're going to use wire. So you're going to need whatever way you put eyelets in, some little wire cutters, charms for the end result. Some, if you have any foam squares, you can triple up paper, glue pieces together, anything to lift off of the card, because I don't really do prompts, but that's what I was thinking when I was doing these strips of paper, scraps of paper, and to lift things off of your page. That's where the wire comes in, or if you like, just use some foam tape. It's a little easier to work with. Mod Podge, what else? Gesso, and all the normal tools. A brush, your palette knife, your gesso, your inks, whatever you like to use. If you're gonna do ink on top of Mod Podge, grab some StazOn. It does work really well. And I think that's it. So grab your supplies and join me. I have my coffee, my cozy coffee off to the side. Those of you that are interested, I know some of you made it. Leave a comment if you've made it. I'm really interested if you liked it or not. It is not my recipe. It is from the Farming Pastor's Wife. She is on YouTube. It's a great channel. And she has a recipe for that, and it's awesome. So, okay, grab 3, glue them together. You do not need to watch me glue them together. Just as evenly as you can. I don't care about things being perfectly even, but if you do, you do you. So these happen to be, it doesn't matter what they are, because on the back is probably the only place you're going to see something. So some of these are French. So if it's a French word, I usually put that on the reverse side. So here's my glued piece. Let me grab one. I know I had multiple ones done. And keep an eye on my community page. I know it doesn't always show up in your home screen. Be a subscriber. That would be great. And you should be able to see my community post. If not, just go to my channel and you can look at one of the tabs and you'll see the community. Sorry about my fingers. I've tried to do this video before. So here's the 3, all glued, all dried, and it's nice and a stiff piece. And the whole point is to use up the cards. And I like this one. So all you're going to do is glue your strips, whatever your theme is. Now I'm going to do 3 grungy, 3 fantasy fairy, and 3 shabby, just like I did the postcards and the playing cards. The finished products you'll see on my community page. And once they become available, that's when I'm going to post them. I'm going to stick them in my Etsy shop. It may not be the ones that you see complete today. They may be different, because if I'm doing a certain journal and I need something that I really, I made one for, I'm going to keep that one. So here you go, this, and just layering. And all I did was glue that and take 3 strips of whatever. I use a decal cutter. I like the Stampin' Up! One. It's lasted me a very long time. And you're just going to glue your 3 pieces together I like 3 different. But, it's going to give you texture. Whatever you use. I probably wouldn't use that piece. Okay, let's keep it all neutral. So if I do this, this is going to be a grungy, so I'm going to stick with my neutrals because that's what I like to work with the most, with little pops of color. Okay, glue it on there. Use your, whatever, art glitter glue, Fabri-Tac, whatever, PVA glue, Elmer's glue, whatever. Cut it off, trim it off, and I think I have that. Yep. And I put a coat of Mod Podge on it. Again, this is basics from our, beginning videos. It's very similar to the base that way, but these are strips. I put Mod Podge over this. I did not put Mod Podge over the shabby ones that I create because I'm not going to use a Stabilo on those. So my Mod Podge is on there. A little bit of gesso is on there. I do wait until I get into the project a little bit more, and I do add more gesso as needed. I have a little water here. I don't have my little spongy out today like I did for my other ones. But once the Mod Podge dries and you use a Stabilo, it's going to blend and move really well. Moves with water, darkens up, gives it a nice shadow. I even liked going over the edges, your little deckled edges, like so. See, I'm just outlining, a little bit of water. You can tell once you get started with it if you got too much water, if you have too much water on your finger. See, it's gonna outline, and I'll do more to it as well. And my main piece on the, I'm not gonna call it a focal piece, but I guess it would be considered that. I like these Tim Holtz butterflies. This was a die, and I am probably gonna go that way. I don't know, this is a grungy one. So let me show you what I have going further. I will show you what this finished product is. So this was some Tim Holtz butterfly wings. They come in a package. They're like an acetate. So I put more holes in them, and I used, now what I have found, and it's a good tip for anybody that works with acetate, if you're going to put a lot of different mediums on there, or if you're going to put, I know alcohol inks, I already know that, but for me, I just coat it lightly with clear gesso. And it does dry on there. Just don't do a real thick coat on the front and the back. That's what I did. Now all my product stayed on there really well. And I did the back as well with some mica sprays, Ranger. And you can use alcohol inks, whatever. And I used some on the front as well as some gold on there. And I used a rusty safety pin, wove some very thin black wire around there, and you can actually lift it off the card. And I did the same with another one that I put holes in and used lots of mica spray. Put a little stickles on there at the end. Used some greenery there. But it almost looks like trees if you can see the background. You see how it's outlined by that Stabilo? And it really brings it forward. I really liked that. Now this isn't a perfection thing. This is just like a crazy, piece. I put some patina, that liquid, as well as some alcohol inks on these charms and added that. And a little loop up here to put a bulb pin in. There's some eyelets. There's the back of the card. And I would put this on a page. My journals are very chunky, and I just loved how that looked. I put some shimmer on there. You can add any color you want. I did just a layer of the Liquitex iridescent medium. You can mix it with paint, and it's really nice. It gives a nice shimmer. I also added that mica spray, like I said. You can also take this, open it up, and put little dots on it. Let me show you the shabby one. There There we go, mulberry flowers. I used a heart. When I cut this heart out, I used a die, but obviously everybody knows how to make a heart, right? And I just backed it. So I made a nice stiff piece. You don't want to use thin paper. Even if I used cardstock, I would double it. So all I did was make extra hearts, and I backed them. Whoop, there we go. And I just backed my pieces, whatever I wanted in the forefront. Used a little moss, some mulberry flowers, and see my my background. It's scrapbook paper, and just no Stabilo, just some brown ink around there. Used a skeleton leaf, but they do break really easily, so I just put some fake flower petals back there, a little vintage lace, and some embroidery, a little embroidered flower, a flower dangle, and I do have a video for that, which also includes in the description box the inspiration video, because this was not my idea. And I don't like to take anybody else's ideas. I just want to make it my own. There. So, for this one, and I'll bring you this far. So this one, I opened up my pink shimmer spray, and I do have a video for shimmer sprays. I just dotted it and added some glitter spots on there. I used a little bit of the Hocus Pocus, which is a nice purple mica spray, mica stain, so it will give color on there, which I loved. And if it's too much in one area, as I'm putting it together, I'll just go over it with a little bit of gesso and gesso the edges. You can see from my other videos, if you're not familiar how to use gesso, you can see that in some other videos that I've posted in this challenge. I'll try to do, you know, one a week, but if something comes up, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's okay. It's a challenge. So if I fail the challenge that week. So that's the back. And if it's curled up, that means I use some medium on it, and I love it, and I don't mind it at all. So all I did, put an eyelet in there, twisted some wire crazily around there. Now I might close it up into a big loop. I might leave it like this and curl the ends and just put a bulb pin on there with a charm and end up putting it on a page somewhere, or if I had some kind of fabric piece on a cover or end of a page, if it's a thicker piece of paper, I think that would look really, really good. So the wire keeps it really from, I would tie this around it. The wire kind of keeps it from being flat on your page, and that was the goal. So I am happy with that. And I'm just making a circle, tying the wire that I put around the heart, around that. It's, you know, it's not the easiest to work with, but I think the look is good. So I'm just gonna bring that down a little. And when I get it to where I like it, I will glue part of it. Part of the wire, E6000 is what I would use. And I put eyelets here and just wove that through. And I have another one somewhere. There it is. And then I will put this one here. And I'll twist it and everything once I get the wire fully on. And I will add the charms to it. And I really like how these turned out. And I will be making a grungy set, a fantasy set or fairy set, and a shabby set. And if they do become available in my Etsy shop, I will put a post on the community page that they are finished. So for the finished products, for all the finished products, look for it. It'll be a few days. I do have some family obligations coming up, so look, I like it. This is just embroidery thread for that one to hang. So I hope you guys like this, and I hope you're inspired to make your own and use up some of those cards and alter them. And have a great day. Thanks.